right, hi everyone. My name is Natasha Raju. I'm a Senior Global Partner Marketing Manager at AWS. And my partner in crime today is?
Scott Priest. I'm the Principal Partner Manager at AWS, have responsibility for managing global ISV partnerships.
And the question that we want to help you answer today is, how can I turn my AWS partnership into a revenue generating superpower? Scott and I are going to be going over our best practices when it comes to co-selling and co-marketing strategies, and also what we have seen work really well in the field. So first off, I really want to highlight 4 compelling reasons why it's important to market with AWS. First, you get to differentiate your solution on AWS Marketplace with the backing of AWS's credibility. Second, you get to amplify your brand and really create awareness when you're creating joint co-branded assets that feature the AWS logo. And then third, as you're gaining AWS specializations and competencies, this will unlock opportunities for you to expand not only your audience reach, but also be able to participate in AWS-led and AWS-managed campaigns. And then lastly, when you submit ACE opportunities or our APN customer engagement tool, this allows you to engage with our AWS sales and field teams because it gives them visibility into our joint opportunities that are in pipeline, but also you get to tag these opportunities with a unique marketing campaign code that you'll be able to then track the ROI and ensure that you have success in the campaigns and activities that you're running. Now, one of the questions that I often get is, Natasha, what makes a successful marketing plan? And unfortunately, there's not a one-size-fits-all approach because every partner is unique. However, I would say that the key differentiator is ensuring that you have a comprehensive and integrated marketing strategy. And that first building block is really looking at your marketing funnel. So with your marketing funnel, and when you're creating your marketing plan, it's important to understand your customer's journey to ensure that you have activities that hit every stage of the marketing funnel, from the top of the funnel all the way to the bottom of the funnel. So at the top of the funnel, this is where you're essentially trying to gain a following of your solution or offering with assets that attract the right audience. Think anywhere from blog posts to infographics. In the middle of the funnel, this is where now you're generating leads, and you're essentially trying to get a customer to introduce themselves through gated assets. Here, think more like ebooks or webinars. And then at the bottom of the funnel, this is now where you're turning a lead into a sales opportunity with assets that promote one-to-one conversations. Think more like demos or case studies. What's important about creating an integrated marketing plan is that you're ensuring you're not doing one-off activities with not only your budget, but also marketing development funds, or MDF, with AWS. Once you understand your marketing funnel, then you can really build a comprehensive and integrated marketing plan. Here is an example of an integrated joint marketing plan, where you'll see this plan as a sample hits every stage of the funnel, where you can see right below the numbers. So in the first step, and I think this is the most important step, is really building a better together messaging document with AWS. And this can be an AWS plus partner messaging document, or it can be specific to a sales play or even an industry or vertical play. But what's important about a joint messaging framework document is you can use this as a foundation to then create additional assets, such as infographics, sales enablement material, anything that both internally and externally the teams are going to use. In the second step, you can essentially take a 2-pronged approach. In the second step, we have some partners who like to take a very targeted approach where they leverage an account-based marketing or ABM campaign to really target specific accounts with the assets they've created. Or in step 3, you can really try to build your pipeline by running content syndication campaigns with the assets that you've created. Now, say for example, one of your target audiences is a CXO or C-suite level. You could further nurture those leads that come in by inviting them to, say, a high-end CXO roundtable to really get that engagement going. And then for some partners who just have a massive pipeline of leads that are both in the middle or bottom of the funnel that aren't moving, we highly recommend leveraging an agency to run a sales meeting maker, where the agency themselves will create not only the content, but the call scripts to really further nurture those leads into an opportunity. Now, for some of you who might say, that sounds all great, but I have little to no funding. We have a self-service campaign that is at no cost that you can download today on AWS Partner Marketing Central. PRCs, or Partner Ready campaigns, are essentially pre-packaged marketing assets that have customizable content that you can use today. And a lot of these PRCs are targeted to various audiences, say SMB or enterprise. They also target various industries, so healthcare, financial services. Regardless of how much MDF you have or the content that you have, I highly recommend any and all partners to really check out PRCs in AWS Partner Marketing Central, especially if you want to understand what is the AWS point of view when it comes to industry messaging or even generative AI. A lot of this content is changing and becoming more updated that you can use, especially today. And then one of the partner success use cases that I wanted to share is an opportunity with 4 industry-leading partners, CrowdStrike, Okta, Zscaler, and AWS, on a zero trust campaign. And the intent with this was to leverage an agency called the Channel Company, and we used a 4-pronged approach. First, we created a foundation, which again was a joint messaging, better together messaging document. And this allowed us to not only highlight values, what were the benefits to the customer, and also use cases that we could then build to create assets, such as, again, infographics, solution brief. Then in the second step, we created a microsite, which you can see at the top right, that gated a lot of these assets, and then we ran a display ad campaign to the landing page to essentially gain more leads. In the third step, we ran a content syndication campaign, and here there was a lot of flexibility for partners. If they wanted, depending on how many leads they wanted, they could scale how much they spent. And then lastly, some of the partners also wanted BANT qualified leads, so the agency actually created 3 email nurture campaign with very specific and targeted questions that the agency could answer. So the entire campaign cost about $125,000 that could be split across all 4 partners, leveraging MDF. And then the content syndication piece, each partner could choose how much they wanted to spend. In terms of results, one of the partners stated that the MQL conversion was actually a lot higher than their internal company average, and this campaign yielded 5 opportunities that resulted in $2.6 million in marketing source pipeline. So to us, this was a very successful campaign. Now that you've built all of this fantastic pipeline, I'm going to hand it over to Scott to discuss some of his co-selling best practices.
Thank you, Natasha. Yeah, so as Natasha mentioned, after you build the pipeline, you create all the marketing materials, you create new opportunities. The next logical thing to try to figure out is now, how do you go co-sell with AWS, right? If you're a longtime partner, some of this may seem very fundamental, but there are a couple elements in here I do want to make sure we cover, because working the booth, we seem to continually get some questions like, how do I co-sell? How do I do it better? How do I work my opportunities? And that's really kind of what we want to talk about here. So the first thing is very straightforward. We create that marketing asset, we do some activities, AWS identifies an opportunity or a customer asks, we're sharing that opportunity through ACE to our ISVs and to our channel partners, managed solution providers. And the same thing on the customer side or on the partner side. Find an opportunity, you're sharing it back through us through our ACE portal. The one thing I want to make sure we call out on the slide more than anything is we don't expect our partners to sell AWS services for us, right? Not a realistic expectation. And at the same time, it's not an expectation that you should think that AWS will be selling your ISV solutions on your behalf either. They're very good at selling AWS, but selling your solutions isn't really the intent. It's to come together, share information, and collectively build a solution for our customers that is better for all 3. So 4 areas where AWS can really help. There was a Forrester study done on co-selling with AWS Marketplace, and the first is the deal acceleration. Forrester found that we can close sales 40% faster by co-selling together. This is done for customers looking to consolidate their purchasing. And another big one is there are opportunities, and I'll share an example on the next page, where customers have private pricing agreements in place with AWS, and these are expiring every month depending on when they're signing their contracts. So we may have an opportunity that we're trying to close in July, but there may be incentives in it for our customers to purchase that in June because they're trying to take advantage of private pricing agreement, contractual obligations they have with AWS. And they can retire ISV solutions that are built on AWS that are purchased through Marketplace. The second is 80% richer deal size. And this is also called out in the case study on the next page, and I'll go into how that happened and what I see kind of month in, month out, where the added value of coming together and collectively sharing information with one another is making our deal sizes that much bigger. Along with that, sharing account intelligence makes a 27% higher win rate. Again, we're trying to build the best solution for our customers and working together through these co-sell motions to ensure that the security services that are built on AWS are compatible, they're verified, and that we're coming together with a mutual voice helps us win these deals. And then also an 81% return on investment. AWS invests in our channel and our ISV partners through migration funding. If you're looking to invest dollars to help offset the cost of migrating customers from on-prem to the cloud. And then we also have investment credits that help customers when purchasing through Marketplace for the first time. So again, very important to take advantage of these sales incentives. So real quick, customer use case. This went on, this opportunity was about a 3-month opportunity, but it was gauged in early. Could probably spend an hour talking about it, but just through really quick, so I want to take just 1 minute. The ISV was working with the channel partner, and in the discussions with the customer, they found out that the customer was a very large AWS shop. And they had a PPA commitment through AWS, meaning that they could buy ISV solutions and help retire their purchasing commitments with AWS. So they said, hey, I'd like to consider running this through AWS Marketplace. The ISV AM was very reluctant at first. He had never worked with AWS, so he was a little apprehensive. He didn't want to involve another partner that may delay the sales cycle and stuff doesn't get out in time. But through discussions with them, we were able to pull the teams together. And on that very first call, it became very apparent that the value add from our AWS AM was pretty paramount. He had been managing the account for 5 years. He had executive relationships up the channel. He knew who the influential influencers were and also the decision makers. And in these discussions, he said, hey, I'm aware of this $3 million opportunity you're asking me to sell on. Are you also engaged in this other deal in this other department? I know someone over there, and if you're not, I'm happy to make that introduction. This other co-sell security opportunity we were working on was against another cloud provider, right? So AWS wants to win that. We made the introduction. So I'm just going to jump to the end. Through the end, what started out as a $3 million opportunity, we closed at $9.1 million. So we closed that original deal. We were able to introduce them into the other security opportunity that they were unaware of. Position them as a viable solution because it was a better solution than the AWS standalone services could offer. And we ended up closing the entire deal for $9 million. So I'm just going to leave this right here is really the co-sell best practices. I know we had to go through this really quick, but we are around. We're going to be at the Marketplace booth the rest of this week if you want to stop by and get additional details on the marketing or co-sell. But these are really the keys that we think are paramount to being successful. And one is engage early. The earlier we start talking about opportunities together and collectively building a solution for our customers, the more likely it is we're building the outcome that's going to solve the security solution that they're looking for, and more likely to win these deals. You register the opportunity in ACE. For those that aren't familiar with ACE, it's an analytics customer engagement tool. It's really just how we share information back and forth. So if you're looking to reach out and engage with an AWS seller, the first step is register an ACE. That's going to get you aligned with our sellers. Third, leverage your team. There's a host of resources available at AWS to help our partner community. These are PDMs, partner development managers, partner solution architects. We have marketplace and customer advisors. a whole host of resources that I just want to make sure you guys don't forget about and ensure you leverage to help win these solution sales. As mentioned, we have incentives for the channel partners, our ISVs, also for the customers to incentivize winning deals through AWS. And then also, again, just collectively sell. If you're an ISV, remember there's a lot of very strong channel partners out there that can bring additional opportunities to the table, provide assessment, design, management services, which collectively make that solution better for all of us. So with that, Natasha, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Scott. And so these are just a couple of resources that we thought would be very helpful for you. So the first one, big AWS Partner Marketing Central, highly recommend bookmarking that. And then the second one is the AWS Partner Funding Portal. So this is just understanding what marketing development funds you have, what buckets of funding you have at your disposal. It also just helps give you kind of more information about them. And then lastly, our AWS security solutions, just up and coming. What are we working on? Where can you get plugged in? And we just wanted to make sure that you had these resources at your disposal.